Hello, fellow seekers of truth and reality. You know what? If you're seeking truth and reality, you probably belong here. If you already have truth and reality, you're not looking. This is for the seekers. Okay, my name is Dan Paulson. Welcome to the channel. And in this video, I'm going to respond to an email that I got from somebody because I'm struggling with the channel a little bit because I have so much to put out. I don't know where to go, and I don't know what people are interested in. And there's not a lot of exchange because I think I'm still kind of out there for many. And of course, the channel doesn't get very much exposure. So I think what is difficult is when we're at a certain place in our seeking the truth and we're looking through material, we need to connect up with each other. We need to have a place where we can talk and discuss ideas. We're seeking on our own. We're coming up with things that are very similar. And I think if we can get together and talk about it, we'll have this figured out. This is something that is not unusual. This is something that is very much in place. And I'm talking about a template, a healing template that is located inside of all of the material. I don't care whether you're a Hindu, a Christian, a Muslim, a Jew, a Taoist, a Buddhist, or none of those. Whether you might be somebody who follows the Emerald Tablets of Thoth or any of those vehicles, Greek mythology, all of those, regardless of what level people hold them at as far as validity, they're holding that same template, exactly the same template. And people sometimes will hurt you with the carrier, not knowing that that template is in there. So it's good for us to find each other and be able to cut through some of this stuff. I would like to read the letter that came from her, and I would like to respond to some of the things in there because I think this is important for those of us that are in this kind of a mindset, and I want to discuss my ideas on it. But let me go ahead and read this. It says, "Hello, Dan. I have a lot to say, but I will try to summarize it. I grew up in a Christian family in Malawi, a country in Southeast Africa. But since I was little, I was intrigued by the subject of spirituality and the purpose of existence. I liked asking myself why we were here on earth only to wait for death. The whole thing did not make sense to me. So I found comfort in going to church and learning about the Bible stories and Jesus Christ. But as I grew up, questions kept arising in my mind. I still did not grasp why an all-knowing God would create us, knowing very well that we would sin, and then throw people into hell because of that sin. It didn't make any sense at all. But I could not voice out my questions in an obvious manner, so I would just try to find some explanations on my own to calm my curiosity, but they'd work only for a moment, and then the questions would arise again. So all my life I have been a practicing Christian, but with some questions in my mind. Until 2020, when I stopped going to church and started searching the truth online. I searched and read about all religious belief systems, and I noticed that they all seem to have a similar message and underlying values." Bingo. "Then I recently came across your channel, which just confirms what I found in my personal search. So for now, I do not consider myself a religious Christian, but a biblical Christian, because I have no problem with the Bible, but I don't agree with how the Bible is interpreted and used by churches to control and manipulate people with the fear of God's wrath and punishments. I consider the Bible a metaphorical book of wisdom, just like other religious books, because if we see beyond the languages and religions, the message is the same. I enjoy seeing the underlying meanings of the biblical stories, but I had no one to share with because I am surrounded by people who cannot understand what I understand. At first, I used to try to explain it to my family and friends, but they started considering me as someone who is losing her mind and thinking too much. So I just started writing it down. I have written down my understanding in about 5 diaries and still going. I'm very excited to have come across your channel. I hope that I can share with you what I understand in the biblical stories. It's good to have people with whom you can just mutually share your knowledge and experiences with without obliging each other to strictly follow what you are sharing. I really wish there could be a platform where we can just exchange our stories because it's really hard to find people who get it in our communities. It is indeed a small pathway into the kingdom of heaven within. Understanding. I have a lot to say, and I hope as time goes by, I will be sharing little by little of the details of my journey. Thank you very much for sharing this knowledge. I wish you more wisdom, knowledge, and inner strength as you keep up this good work. Peace, love, and joy to you and your loved ones. Thank you. Peace, love, and joy to you and yours too. It's very kind. I want to discuss some of these issues because I think there's a lot of us in this position. We need to get this out in the open right off the bat. I grew up in a Christian family too. You've seen some of my videos, but it was a family of abuse. It wasn't, I'm not equating the two, but I realized that Christianity had nothing to do with being good and kind, that people were people, and Christianity was just a belief system. You could be anyone. I knew that early on. And I realized after losing my brother to suicide, who wanted to leave the abuse and go to heaven, and then being told, yeah, guess what? He committed suicide, going to hell. Those are not fun things to learn as a kid and have to grow up with. Then you, at some point though, you're thinking there is something out there. There's something bigger than me, and you go search and you leave. And one thing that we seem to understand, or at least we grasp it very well, and other people, I don't know why the masses cannot grasp this. I haven't talked to the masses, but in my experience, there are people on this path that go, yeah, I get that. And people that aren't on this path that will say, no, you are wrong, buddy. This is what it is. We understand that we became a product of where we were, and that if we had showed up with our awareness, if my awareness was Muhammad or Ibrahim or something somewhere in Saudi Arabia, I would have been raised in a Muslim home. I would have had that belief. What makes us different from each other is where we come from, and we don't emerge beyond that. But we know that there's something bigger going on, that there's something underlying here, that there isn't a race or a religion that is preferred. You can't even see those things. Each religion claims that they have that. But as an outsider looking at it all, you begin to realize, oh, as much as they think they're all special, once you step outside and look at them, you realize they're all the same. They're not different. And you know what? They will oftentimes. I've run into this quite a bit with people that say, you do not look into the scripture. You don't read and study other things. I have recently been told by people who I was in a discussion with, I would ask them, well, what do you know about the Bhagavad Gita, about the Upanishads, about the Tao Te Ching or something like that? And I've got responses like those are demonic, those are, something here or there, that somebody might post something that they've grabbed off of a Christian site and posted it on there, and and they'll say, yeah, I've already studied that stuff. Here's what I know about it. This is why Christianity is right. And as soon as they post that reply, they're lying. They have no idea what those other religions are. They have not studied anything. They haven't. Within their mind, within their world, within their community, they're good with that. They don't want you to learn, and they don't think you should learn. What happens when you begin to learn is that one religion you think is right above all others, you begin to realize, oh, if I learn and understand other religions, I begin to realize something, that there is something deeper in there. Whether it's karma, the law of reciprocity, the measure you mete unto others will be likewise meted unto you. There is something underlying all of those, and those are carriers that are carrying something deeper inside, and the people that are carrying it aren't getting that. We are getting that, and we are often, you can't communicate with people like that. They don't get it. They're not going to get it. And that story that few will get this, and most will not, is a part of the original teaching. There's nothing new here. There's something different about humans. And we actually need a place where we can communicate and discuss what the reality of is. Yeah, outside of the people who say you should limit yourself. How can you talk with authority about something that you have dismissed? It'll work in your little group. It won't work out here. And I'm not talking to I'm talking to the people who do that. That's who that's for. Yeah. To everybody that's told me that I'm studying demonic things, demonic is ignorance. Demonic is limiting your knowledge and belief and your awareness so that you can find comfort in something that's okay for you. Just keep it to yourself. What we go on to... The Bible interpreted, the metaphorical book. To me, the Bible is the lessons in there are 100% metaphorical. The spiritual lessons are metaphorical. The spiritual lessons, however, are contained in a vehicle that is created in their time and their place. So it's going to feature names of rulers and places that are there. It has to become valid. You hand somebody a framework, a template, and say, here, create a lesson for your people. This is a self-healing. You got to look inward. You got to take care of yourself. You need to go resolve your issues inside of you in order to have a good life. Your life will unfold better that way if you forgive who hurt you. And that lesson's not going anywhere. You put it in a template and you tell people to create something that sends it around, and they will say, okay, well, seek emptiness. Poor in spirit. Find a way to, oh yes, we're looking something mystical here. We want to be free of the bondage. And although those things are flowery words that sound good, that's going to carry it, but they're not interactive. When it's interactive time, you go back after the memories. And very familiar Jesus teachings, remember the one where he says, if you are at the altar to give a gift to God, and you remember that you have aught against your brother, don't give the gift. Go take care of that first, then come back and give the gift. How do you define that? We're looking for a good life or taking care of our issues. Here is a lesson nested in a religion telling you that if you are looking for good graces and you know that you've got issues in your head and anger and hatred against people and you're still looking for good graces, go take care of that anger and hatred, then come and look for the good graces. And then your Father who sees in secret will reward you in secret. Why would that be? Is it your Father or is it the cosmos? It doesn't matter. Believe what you want. You have to do that forgiveness stuff in order for things to be better. That's all nested right there. In that same lesson in the Tao Te Ching, Lao Tzu teaches us that whatever is in the center of the hub causes the cartwheel to cycle around and around again, and that what is in the center of that hub is what we have named, what we have decided, what we have classified in life. And in order to change that cycle, we change what we have put inside the hub. We change the belief of of what we've put in there. These guys are teaching us the same thing in different vehicles. It's the same lesson. We're finding that. So, yeah, you're telling people to wash out the inside of the cup or a variety of other things in many different ways to convey a message that is nested inside to self-heal. And all of the religions and all of those other vehicles are simply carriers for that. In a time and a place where storytelling, that was their media. Their technology was steel and copper, stone masonry to a high level. Incredibly high level. They were intelligent people, but they didn't have electronics, but they had storytelling, and they made these complicated, and people treat them like, oh, that's just truth and reality, and mine's better than yours. People today aren't figuring it out. Honestly, they're not. And they will tell you, you're wrong for figuring it out. Yeah, we need a place where we can talk and leave them behind. I'm with you on that. Yeah. Adam and Eve's story. We're all Adam. Every human being is Adam when you're born, and you're born in a state of bliss. You're in the Garden of Eden. As you grow and develop from an infant, you begin naming things, you're learning things, you're figuring stuff out. And as you do, your subconscious, who and what you are, emerges from you. Your Eve characteristic. We are now, each of us are conscious as Adam, but it's in a hierarchy. I went back and edited this in. I glaze over things sometimes that seem okay to me, and then I hear it back and realize it needs to be explained better. That hierarchy, the conscious, the subconscious, the male, the female, that's an analog that they developed at their time. Was that 3,500, 4,000 years ago, something like that? I don't support a hierarchy of male and female. My wife and I do not live that way. We are mutual. We don't exist in that hierarchy. We're just simply looking at it as something that they were using at that time. That is how you put things in their place when you play them out in the psyche. If there is something in charge of something else, a senior and a subordinate, you have to play those out as conscious and subconscious. That's how they fit. So I'm not suggesting that the male is superior over the female or that she is subordinate. Not at all. That's simply an analog that they're using to carry a lesson. That's a bad analog, because why? What do people do today? Oh, male is superior over the female. The conscious in charge is Adam. The subordinate female is our subconscious side. Our conscious is training our subconscious. The subconscious picks up characteristics that gets us thrown out of the Garden of Eden. We have offspring, Cain and Abel, we become divided. This is the teaching nested in metaphor, how we become divided. How when Lao Tzu says the naming is the origin of all things, when you decide, I hate that, you've decided in your mind, you storing it, you are wiring yourself at that moment with, I hate this. And that hate is going to stay there, and it's going to continue to work, and it's going to network, and it's going to grow. And there are pieces and parts of us that continue on in life that way that we need to learn to recognize and pull ourselves back from, while other people are telling you, just turn it over to the supernatural. Wait till you die or get reborn. We're not doing that. No. Anyway, I hope this video was okay. I'll put this up and not mention the name out of respect. I think that there are people in communities and places that want to reach out that are in... I know what militant, conservative Christianity looks like. It is not fun. I would not want to be there. That is hell. So people might be in locations where they can't speak freely because they would be chastised or criticized, possibly hurt in some way for reaching out and trying to find something outside of what you're supposed to limit yourself to. Anyway, thank you for the email. It gave me something to talk about that's very important to me. If anybody else has any questions or anything specific, if you want me to, if you're studying something and you're like, I don't get how this works, it plays out inside. I don't know everything there is out there. I certainly haven't studied it all, but I'm pretty convinced this material is everywhere. If you want to know what the kingdom of heaven within is, or the halls of Amenti, whatever, I think I can go there. Ask questions. Please feel free. And if not, it'll certainly challenge me. And I really like being challenged. I like trying to figure this out. I like finding where I'm wrong. I do want to say a little something about the channel and how I'm going to manage things because of who and what I am. I'm not creating a YouTube channel for profit. I'm looking for a place to talk to people. And this is a pretty accessible platform, very accessible platform. And I'm not paying anything. I'm not looking to monetize. I will not monetize. This is knowledge that is the knowledge of life. If people are selling it to you, they're not selling you what is yours. They're selling you what is theirs. Obviously, if somebody needs your time, they can charge for that. But this channel right here, early on, the early videos say, subscribe and like and all that kind of stuff. I was following patterns. And as I went along, I realized that's not my content. That's not what I'm here for. I'm not looking for subscribers and likes. I'm looking for people to communicate with and to convey this information with and to grow and learn with it, to create our own school of Plato, I guess, something. And, that having been said, I want everybody to feel free to communicate down below. And because I don't need a subscriber count or a bunch of comments or something like that, if anybody shows up and starts giving anybody a hard time, they're gone. Somebody gives you a hard time. If you're talking about things, and you'll see a little bit in there from me. There's a few people that have kind of said some things and I'll pick on them a little bit, maybe leave it there. The ones that are really bad, I delete them. And I will just ban people if they're not okay. So feel free to be here. I'm not going to let people become... I allow free speech. But on my channel, I don't allow people to prevent free speech. That's not going to happen. They got their own place to go. They want to come in and dine from the table. They don't get to complain about what the serving is. Okay. Till the next video, love one another, and I'll see you then.